The Constitution of India. Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Happy morning, students. I know you all are doing great in your house and also safe at home. Weather is pretty good. It's raining and I know what will be running in your mind. What if I am in the school, right? Each and every one of you will be running on the grounds, running in the corridors, enjoying the weather, sharing with your friends, sitting in your own classrooms. We are really missing those moments, children. Like each and every one of you missing us. Here, all the teachers are missing you all very much and praying Almighty that the sooner we all meet together and we'll be having great moments ahead, right? So eagerly waiting to see you all very soon. Some girls were requesting me to sing a song, so like I'm planning, and let me just go with 2-3 lines for you. Girls, you just recollect those memories, what we were doing last year in those last benches, right? Gayatri, Pravina, Miduna, Arya, Adra, boys weren't participating into this, having great time, right? So soon those moments will be back for us to cherish forever, right? So today we are going to go to the new chapter, electrochemistry. And before getting into the topic, we have two friends of us who are here to share or to do a small recap of the second chapter, solutions. They are Ashik and Shweta. So Ashik and Shweta are going to help us to go through the topic of the second chapter and you all are going to hear from them. So are you all ready, children? Yes.
Solutions. Solutions are homogeneous mixtures of two or more components. The component present in large amount is the solvent and the component present in small amount is the solute. Solutions are generally classified into three types. Those are liquid solutions, gaseous solution and solid solution. In liquid solutions, the liquid will be the solvent. In gaseous solutions, gases will be the solvent. And in solid solutions, solids will be the solvent. The solutes can be liquid, solid or gas, any of these. The next, concentration of solution. The amount of solute present in the solvent is called the concentration of the solution. The concentration of solution can be expressed in 7 ways. First one is mass percentage, volume percentage, mass by volume percentage, parts per million, molarity and mole fraction. Solubility of gases in liquids. Solubility of gases in liquids are largely affected by two factors, temperature and pressure. The Henry's law states that at constant temperature, the solubility of gas in liquid is directly proportional to the pressure on the gas. The next factor affecting is temperature. As the dissolution process of gases in liquid is largely exothermic, therefore, as temperature increases, the solubility of the gas decreases. Vapor pressure of liquid solutions. The pressure exerted by the vapor above the liquid on the liquid at constant temperature and equilibrium is called vapor pressure. In a liquid solution, the solvent will always be liquid, but which is volatile. But the solute can be non-volatile. According to the volatility of the solute, the vapor pressure can be greater or lesser than that of the solvent. This is the Raoult's law. Ideal solutions. We all know ideal gases are gases which obey all the gas laws. Likewise, ideal solutions are solutions which obey the Raoult's law in its every range of temperature and concentration, and no change in enthalpy or volume takes place.
Hi friends, now we can move to the next part of our chapter, that is ideal solutions. Ideal solutions obeys Raoult's law. The enthalpy of mixing for the ideal solution is 0 and volume of mixing is also 0. Examples are N-hexane and N-heptane. Non-ideal solutions. Solutions which does not obey Raoult's law are termed as non-ideal solutions. If the vapor pressure is higher than that of the calculated vapor pressure, it is showing a positive deviation from Raoult's law. Examples are acetone and carbon tetrachloride. If it is lower, it is showing a negative deviation from Raoult's law. Acetone and chloroform are the examples. Azeotrophs. Azeotrophs are the two binary solutions which are having same composition in their liquid and their vapor phase. These are again classified into minimum boiling azeotrophs and maximum boiling azeotrophs. Now moving to the next important property, that is colligative properties. Colligative properties are those properties which do not depend upon the nature of the solute but depends upon the number of the solute molecules. The important colligative properties are relative lowering of vapor pressure, elevation of boiling point, depression of freezing point, as well as the osmotic pressure. The first one, that is relative lowering of vapor pressure. When a non-volatile solute is added to a solvent, it causes the depression in its vapor pressure. So the difference between that of the pure solvent as well as the resulting solution is termed as the relative lowering of vapor pressure. Elevation of boiling point. When a non-volatile solute is added, it causes to increase the boiling point than that of the pure solvent. So, elevation of boiling point, that is delta TV, is termed as the difference between that of the resulting solution minus the boiling point of the pure solvent. For a dilute solution, elevation of boiling point is directly proportional to molality. So, in order to remove that proportionality, we are introducing a constant that is known as molar elevation constant, and its unit is Kelvin kilogram mole raised to -1. Depression of freezing point. Depression of freezing point it is due to the result of the adding of non-volatile solute to a solvent. So, it decreases its freezing point. So, in order to remove that, it is directly proportional to its molality. So, in order to remove that proportionality, we are introducing a constant known as the molar depression constant, which unit is Kelvin kilogram mole raised to -1. Next is osmotic pressure. But before moving to osmotic pressure, what is osmosis? Osmosis is the flow of solvent molecules from a lower concentration to a higher concentration. And osmotic pressure is the pressure needed to stop the flow of solvent molecules. And this osmotic pressure is directly proportional to the concentration and temperature. So pi, which is the osmotic pressure, is equal to CRT, where R is known as the universal gas constant. And we can divide the solutions into isotonic, hypotonic as well as the hypertonic solutions. If two solutions are having the same osmotic pressure, it is termed as isotonic solutions. If the vapor pressure of a solution is lower than that of the other, it is hypotonic solution. If it is higher, we can term it as hypertonic solutions. And reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is the pressure needed to reverse the direction of osmosis. The pressure needed for that is higher than that of the osmotic pressure. and this reverse osmosis is used in the desalination of seawater. Now moving to the next topic, that is abnormal molar mass. When the molar mass calculated by these colligative properties methods may be incorrect if it is association or dissociation. If it is undergoing association or dissociation. So Van Hoff introduced a factor which is known as the Van Hoff factor to correct this. And Van Hoff factor I is equal to normal mass by observed molar mass, which is known as the abnormal mass. And the Van Hoff factor for association will be less than that of 1, and for dissociation it will be greater than that of the 1. Hope you might have enjoyed this class. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashik and Shweta. That was a very good explanation from your side, and I think everybody were able to follow them. So let us get back into the third lesson. Our third chapter is electrochemistry. From the name, it's very clear that some role of chemistry with electricity. So here, in this chapter, we are going to see how electricity can be produced from chemical reactions, or how chemical reactions can generate electricity. So in either way, electricity plays a very important role in chemistry. So what are we going to see here is how electricity is produced through chemical reactions, or how electricity is used to produce chemical reactions. Okay. Now what is electrochemistry? It is the study of production of electricity from energy released during spontaneous chemical reactions. What do you mean by spontaneous? Spontaneous means reaction which do not require any initial support. We don't require any initiation. You don't have to start the reaction. It takes place on its own. Such spontaneous reaction can produce electricity. And it is also the use of electrical energy to bring about non-spontaneous chemical reaction. Any chemical reaction taking place that will produce electricity. Now that electricity can also be used to produce or to start a non-spontaneous reaction, means a reaction which requires a start, that is a support. Now recap of 10th and 11th. We have been hearing about metal reactivity series, or how the reaction takes place using the electricity. The arrangement of metals in the decreasing order of their reactivity is called as reactivity series. When I say reactivity series, from the name it's very clear that based on their reaction, that is the extent or the intensity of their reaction, they have been arranged in the decreasing order. Hydrogen is used as a reference element so that the elements which are placed above hydrogen are more reactive, and the elements which are placed below hydrogen are less reactive. Now this is a reactivity series which you have already seen in your 10th standard textbook, I hope children. Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, carbon, zinc, iron, tin, lead, and you can see here hydrogen, and copper, silver, gold. Now how to recollect this? There's a smart way. Please stop calling me a careless zebra. Instead, try learning how copper saves gold. So this is an easy way to remember the reactivity series. So when I have hydrogen as a reference element, the elements which are placed above hydrogen are more reactive, and the elements which are placed below hydrogen are less reactive. Displacement reaction. It is also called as a redox reaction. What do you mean by redox reaction? A reaction in which reduction and oxidation can take place simultaneously. In this type of reaction, the more reactive metal will be displaced, the less reactive metal, which means here above hydrogen you can see some of the elements placed. Since these are more reactive, when I take two elements like zinc and iron, so zinc is above iron, so zinc can displace iron, which means zinc can take the position of iron. So in this type of reaction, the more reactive metal will displace the less reactive metal. Example, when you dip a zinc rod in copper sulfate, zinc plus copper 2 plus. Why it is copper 2 plus? Because it is in the solution state. Metal ions in copper sulfate, it exists as copper 2 plus and sulfate 2 minus. So zinc plus copper 2 plus and the reaction will give zinc 2 plus plus copper sulfate, which means zinc displaces copper and takes the position of copper. Right? Are you able to follow, children? The more reactive metal will displace the less reactive metal very easily. Zinc being more reactive than copper will displace copper in copper sulfate solution. That's why we write zinc plus copper sulfate giving zinc sulfate plus copper. As I told you, this is displacement. Placement, zinc take the place of copper. So that's why copper is being displaced, moved apart. Now in this displacement reaction, as we already have seen, it is also called as redox reaction. Zinc will undergo oxidation. How does it undergo oxidation? We have learnt in +1 that oxidation is a method of losing electrons. So zinc loses 2 electrons to become zinc 2 plus and copper undergoes reduction. What is the definition of reduction? Arya? Yes, reduction is the process of gaining electrons. So copper undergoes reduction by gaining those 2 electrons which are lost by zinc. Now electrochemical cells. This cell converts chemical energy liberated during the redox reaction. What do you mean by chemical energy? Any process, any chemical reaction is happening, we know there are some sort of energy being released or absorbed. Those energy we also call it as chemical energy because they are being produced or accepted only because of the chemical reaction that are taking place. So those chemical reactions which are responsible, how it has come? Because of the redox reaction. What is redox reaction? Both reduction and oxidation taking place simultaneously. So this cell, what is an electrochemical cell? A cell which converts the chemical energy into electrical energy. So the chemical energy gets converted to electrical energy. So here electrical energy is produced and has an electrical potential of 1.1 volt. See, regarding electrical potential we will be studying in detail. So you just have to learn for this particular chemical reaction the electrical potential is 1.1 volt. When concentration of zinc 2 plus and copper 2 plus is unity, what do you mean by unity? Is equal to 1. Such a device is called as galvanic cell or voltaic cell. So galvanic cell or voltaic cells are cells which converts the chemical energy that is being generated due to a redox reaction into electrical energy. So in galvanic cell, chemical energy gets converted to electrical energy. Now this is the setup of a galvanic cell. So what you can see in this, you have a zinc rod which is dipped into the zinc sulfate solution, and you have a copper rod which is dipped into a copper sulfate solution. We dip the same rod into its metal solution. So what happens here? Zinc when dipped in zinc sulfate, copper when dipped in copper sulfate, you have an electrical setup connecting the two rods through which the current can pass. And we have already learned that the current passes from the positive terminal to the negative terminal. So what happens here? You have a salt bridge. What is the function of salt bridge? To maintain the electrical neutrality. It will be just like a jelly-like substance. It can be potassium chloride, potassium nitrate, which has got a coating with agar-agar solution. So this salt bridge will be a U-tube, bent U-tube, which will be maintaining the electrical neutrality. So zinc, when it loses electrons, we know the electrons will pass from negative terminal to the positive terminal through the external circuit, and there will be current passing from the positive to the negative terminal. If an external opposite potential is applied, if external opposite potential is applied in the galvanic cell and increased slowly, we find that the reaction continues to take place till the opposing voltage reaches the value. See, any galvanic cell is set up, it will have some electrical potential. Now, if I am going to apply an external potential, right, so the cell will start functioning till that opposing potential reaches the electrical potential of the cell. So that is what is told here. When the reaction stops, altogether there will be no current flowing through the cell. As long as the reaction is taking place, there will be some electrical potential in the cell. Once it reaches the required electrical potential, the reaction will stop. No more reaction takes place. So when the reaction stops, there will be no current passing through the cell. Any further increase in the electrical potential, assume that you increase the electrical potential more than the required potential. What happens in that situation? The reaction will start, but it will be in the opposite direction. It will not be in the same direction. Since it is more than the required potential, it takes place in the opposite direction. It now will function as an electrolytic cell. It is not an electrochemical cell. Instead, it will be like an electrolytic cell which will be carrying the electrical energy for non-spontaneous reaction. Children, now I'll just tell you in simple way, electrochemical cells are those which will convert the chemical energy into electrical energy. Now, when the electrical potential reaches that particular value, the reaction will stop. When there is an external voltage more than the required potential, the reaction will take place in the opposite direction. Now, we are using the electrical energy to produce chemical reaction, so it will be called as an electrolytic cell. I hope you are able to follow it. Electrochemical cells will convert chemical energy into electrical energy, and electrolytic cell will convert electrical energy into chemical energy. See, as like even I get sometimes a stopover. So think before you write. Understand what is exactly happening in the cell. Now this is a diagram where we have a zinc, in zinc sulfate, copper and copper sulfate. You can see external voltage applying less than 1.1 volt. That is 1.1 voltage is the electrical potential of the cell. When you are going to apply an external voltage which is less than 1.1, what is happening? You can see anode and cathode are the two electrodes. Anode is a negative electrode where oxidation takes place, and cathode is a positive electrode where reduction takes place. So anode, zinc electrode, that is zinc rod, loses 2 electrons to become Zn2+. At cathode, copper gain those 2 electrons to become copper. It gets reduced from copper 2+ to copper. So what is happening? You can see electron flowing from negative to the positive terminal. At the same time, you can see the current passing from the positive to the negative terminal. And you know, when there is a complete flowing of electrons or the current, we can say the circuit is complete. If there is any incompletion, it becomes an incomplete circuit. So now, if there is a situation where external voltage is less than 1.1 volt, electrons will flow from zinc rod to copper rod. As I already told you, zinc will lose 2 electrons and it will flow from zinc rod to the copper rod. Hence, current will flow from copper to zinc on the either opposite direction. Now, zinc dissolves at anode. Zinc loses electrons, it get dissolved in the zinc sulfate solution, and copper gets deposited at cathode. Why? Because copper 2 plus, a metal ion, accepts the electron from zinc and get itself reduced and gets deposited at the cathode electrode. You can see the change in color, right? It got deposited here. Now, when there is a situation where the external voltage is equal to 1.1 volt, it is equal to the correct voltage of the cell, what happens? No flow of electrons or current. When it is already reached that particular voltage, the reaction stops. There will be no movement of electrons or no movement of current. No chemical reaction takes place because there are three situations as I told you before. External voltage less than 1.1, external voltage equal to 1.1 or external voltage more than 1.1. So in this situation you can see the reaction does not take place. I, that is current, becomes zero, no movement of current, no movement of electrons, as the external voltage is equal to 1.1 voltage. Now next one, the third situation where the external voltage is greater than 1.1. Now this is the situation where I told you it starts behaving like an electrolytic cell. So what happens here? Electrons will start moving from copper to zinc. As I told you, when it is more than the required voltage, the reaction starts taking place in the opposite direction. So the electrons will start moving from copper to zinc and current will start moving from zinc to copper. Everything takes place in the reverse direction. Zinc is deposited at the zinc electrode and copper dissolves at the copper electrode. Now zinc gets deposited at the electrode and copper dissolves at the electrode. I hope you are able to follow, children, the three situations where the external voltage is less than the required voltage or equal or it is above the required voltage. This is an example of a galvanic cell, or I can say voltaic cell. You can see same example, children, zinc and copper. You have KCl salt bridge, an external circuit, and you have a zinc sulfate solution and copper sulfate solution. Now what is happening? At zinc, that is anode electrode, zinc undergoes oxidation half reaction. What is oxidation? Losing of two electrons. So zinc loses two electrons to become Zn2+. So this half reaction is very important when you are concerned with electrochemistry. Any chemical reaction taking place, you have to write the half cell reaction where oxidation and reduction are taking place. So next, what is happening? How does this oxidation happen? Because zinc loses two electrons and getting oxidized. You can see that zinc is losing electron and becoming Zn2+. So that is why we write the half cell reaction for oxidation. Now what is happening? Once those two electrons are lost by the zinc, where they need to go? They have to move from zinc to copper. So there copper is in the form of a metal ion, which is copper 2+. It will start accepting the two electrons. Copper 2+ will take up the two electrons and get reduced to copper. So you can see Cu2+ plus 2 electrons giving Cu. How does it become Cu? Those two electrons were gained by copper 2+ and it got reduced. You can see the color change. You can see the deposit, how it get deposited at the cathode electrode. So we have oxidation half reaction, reduction half reaction, and what will be the overall reaction? The two electrons get cancelled each other. So zinc plus copper 2+ will become zinc 2+ plus copper. Right? So this is most important. Whenever you consider any cell, electrochemical cell, you have to write the oxidation half reaction, the reduction half reaction, and the overall reaction as of electrochemistry is concerned. Now this is the setup of a voltaic cell. You can see this is the image, how the zinc rod loses the electrons and get reduced, the rod, zinc getting dissolved in zinc sulfate, and you can see how copper getting deposited here. So oxidation half reaction, reduction half reaction, and the overall reaction. And why salt bridge is used? To maintain the electrical neutrality. What does it mean? 2 electrons lost here, those 2 electrons will be gained by the copper electrode. A clear image. This is exactly happening in a voltaic cell. Zinc losing the electrons and copper gaining its electrons. Potential difference. As I told you, you have been hearing this word. Potential is something, we will say capacity or ability. Now potential difference is something which is going to be deal with electricity. That is a voltage difference. You know, we have 110 voltage, 230 voltage, so many different types. How does it come? The potential, that is, if I am going to buy any electric gadgets or something, any say laptop or anything, refrigerator, they ask, if you see in US the potential is around 110 voltage at home, but here we have around 220 to 230. So this is, if I am going to apply a voltage more than this, it can be an overloading, right? Or you can also be heard about short circuit and other thing. So this is just the potential difference, that is the voltage difference which is being constructed between those two cells. A potential difference develops between the electrode and the electrolyte. What is an electrolyte? We have studied in +1 and also in 10th standard. Electrolytes can be acids, it can be bases, and it can be salts also, which will be having positive and negative ions in it. So if I say hydrochloric acid, or if I say zinc sulfate, or when I say sodium hydroxide, each of these will be having a cation and an anion. As we know, cations are those which carry positive ions and anions are those which carry negative ions. So there will be a potential difference which will be created between the electrode. What is an electrode? If I am going to dip zinc rod in zinc sulfate is my electrolyte. Zinc rod is my anode electrode. So between the zinc rod and my zinc sulfate, there will be some potential difference developed. When the concentration of all the species involved in a half cell is unity. What do you mean by concentrations? Like when I say copper 2+ or zinc 2+, their concentration when it becomes equal to 1, then the electrode potential is known as the standard electrode potential. What do you mean by standard? There are different electrode potential which is given in your textbook. Each of the metal and its metal ion having a standard electrode potential. Now, when there are ions, metal ions involved in the chemical reactions, when their concentration becomes equal to unity, that is 1, at that point of time, we call that potential, electrode potential, as standard electrode potential. There exists a potential difference between the two electrodes. What is two electrodes? We have anode and cathode. Anode here in case of electrochemical cell is a negative electrode. Cathode is a positive electrode. As soon as the switch is in the on position and the electrons will flow from negative electrode to positive electrode. I have my anode, I have my cathode. Each of them are being connected to an external circuit. Did you see the diagram, children? This is my anode, this is my cathode. They are being connected to the external circuit. Once the switch is on, what happens? There will be a potential difference between my anode and cathode. Immediately what will happen? Current will start moving from positive to negative and electrons will start moving from negative to positive. That is what they have told here. Electrons flow from negative to positive electrode. In a galvanic cell, the half cell in which oxidation takes place is called anode and it has a negative potential with respect to the solution. Now when we take zinc and copper, zinc rod is dipped in zinc sulfate. So zinc is anode, which is a negative electrode at which oxidation occurs. Oxidation means loss of electrons. Since it's a negative electrode, there will be a negative potential created between the zinc electrode and the zinc sulfate solution. The other half cell in which reduction takes place is called cathode and it has a positive potential with respect to the solution. Again, copper is at the cathode, which is a positive electrode. Reduction occurs at cathode. Reduction is nothing but gaining or accepting of electrons. Since it is a positive electrode, there will be a positive potential developed between the electrode and its solution. The potential difference between the two electrodes of a galvanic cell is called as cell potential. What do you mean by two electrodes? There will be a potential difference, I told you, between the anode and cathode. That difference will be called as cell potential, because this is my anode cell, this is my cathode cell. These two cells will be having a potential difference, and that will be called as cell potential and will be measured in volts. The cell potential is the difference between the electrode potential, that is reduction potential of cathode and anode, and it is called the cell electromotive force, which we call it as EMF of the cell when no current is drawn through the cell. So we have reduction and oxidation potential, a small difference which we call it as EMF, electromotive force. This is the cell representation. Most important question in this chapter. You will be given any reaction and asked to write the cell representation. The EMF of the cell is positive and is given by the potential of the half cell of the right hand side minus the potential of the half cell on the left hand side. What does it mean? E right minus E left. We always used to write the oxidation and the reduction. See, for example, when we have a reaction where copper plus 2 Ag plus giving copper 2 plus 2 Ag, we know in reactivity series copper lies above silver, so copper displaces silver. So copper is getting oxidized. So you can see oxidation at copper. Copper becomes copper 2 plus with the loss of 2 electrons. Silver, what happens? Silver gains those 2 electrons and get reduced to silver metal. So what happens? The overall reaction will be written like this in the cell representation form, where copper becoming copper 2 plus. So Cu solid, you put a slash, becoming copper 2 plus oxidized, and you put 2 lines, which is the salt bridge, and then silver Ag plus getting reduced to Ag. So E cell is nothing but E right minus E left. What is my E right? Where reduction take place. So I write E of Ag plus bar Ag minus E Cu2 plus bar Cu. This is just a sample for you. We'll be going on with this in the next classes also. Cell representation or writing of a cell in the given format is very important in the case of board exam questions is concerned. Okay, so with this we are going to stop for today, children. I hope you have got an idea about galvanic cell, which we have already studied, but something in detail. What is an potential difference or how to write the cell representation form. So in the next class we will be learning about standard electrode potential, Nernst equation, and also how to do the calculations. Okay, so all of you go through the video, and if you have any doubts, kindly contact me. Be healthy, stay safe, stay at home. Okay, see you in the next class, children. Take care. Bye.